All right, let's talk about AI. Today, we're digging into a really interesting idea for how to get past all the noise and actually start using it. We're looking at the model of a 1-hour personalized consulting session. We'll break down the problem it's trying to solve, see how it's put together, and what it tells us about closing that AI skills gap we all hear about. So let's get into it.
This is the big question, right? It gets to the heart of what so many of us are feeling. On one hand, you hear everywhere that AI is essential, you have to be using it. But on the other hand, for a lot of people, the first reaction isn't excitement. It's just feeling totally overwhelmed. Like, where do I even start?
And you know, it's not just a feeling. The data really backs this up. A McKinsey study that our source material points to shows this huge disconnect. Look at this. A whopping 70% of professionals want to use AI. They see the potential, but only 30% actually feel like they know how to apply it to their work. That's a massive gap.
So that gap is exactly what we're going to talk about first. Let's call it the AI learning gap. It's that space between wanting to do something and having the practical skills to actually get it done.
Yeah, the big message here is pretty clear. Using AI isn't really an optional thing anymore if you want to stay competitive. But, and this is the important part, that feeling of being overwhelmed, of not knowing what to do, that's the most common starting point for almost everyone. It's totally normal. Okay, so if that's the challenge, how do you actually fix it? This brings us to the solution this model proposes, creating a personalized starting point. One that's built for you, not for some generic crowd.
And that leads to the next logical question, right? Who is a session like this actually for? Is it only for the super techie people, or is it for the rest of us? Let's see who the target audience is. As you can see, the list is incredibly broad. We're talking about professionals and entrepreneurs, freelancers and marketers, students trying to get an edge, even executives and team leads. It's basically for anyone who has that feeling of, I know I should be using this, but I have no idea how. The whole idea is to meet you wherever you are on your journey.
So how does that personalized idea actually play out in the session? Well, the core concept is that a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't cut it when it comes to something as new and fast-moving as AI.
This quote from the source material really just nails the whole philosophy. It's not about going for a fixed curriculum. It's about you. It's about your specific goals, your questions, even your confusion. The entire conversation is built around solving your problems.
The process itself is meant to be super straightforward. First, you book your time. Then, and this is the really clever part, you share your goals and questions before the session. That means the consultant shows up ready to talk about exactly what you need, so not a single minute of that hour is wasted on stuff that isn't relevant to you.
A big piece of the puzzle here is also just demystifying the tech. Getting real about what AI is amazing at, like drafting emails or streamlining repetitive tasks, but also being honest about what it can't do. It's not going to replace your strategic thinking or have genuine human creativity. Managing those expectations is just crucial.
And because it's personalized, the topics can be super practical. You could spend the hour learning how to write way better prompts, or how to make the AI's output sound less like a robot. You could dive into specific tools like Notion AI, or even set up some simple automations. It's all about what's going to help you the most. Okay, this all leads to the most important question. What's the outcome? What do you actually get at the end of this hour? What's the real result?
The goal here isn't just about learning stuff. It's about achieving clarity. It's about going from that feeling of being overwhelmed to feeling empowered. You're meant to walk away with a real, practical action plan that you can start using that very same day.
So let's look at the nuts and bolts. The source is upfront about the cost and what's included. For $120 or 450 dirhams, you get the live 1-hour session, you get personalized demos, and then afterward, a PDF with custom prompts and even the option to get a recording of the session.
Now, for a service that's so personal, you've got to know who's leading it. The credibility of the guide is everything. So let's take a quick look at the strategist behind this session. The person running these sessions is Najam Ahmed. He's presented as a digital marketing and AI strategist and also a Google partner. So someone who's been in the digital world for a while and is now focused on helping businesses adapt to AI.
And when you look at the numbers from his firm, you can see a deep history in training.
They've trained over 8,850 participants and different digital skills.
And on top of that, they've provided support for over 1,300 businesses. So that suggests a ton of practical, in-the-trenches experience. And all of this is built on a foundation of more than 2 decades in digital strategy. So this isn't someone who just jumped on the AI bandwagon yesterday.
The feedback from people who've taken the session really backs this up. This one highlights the focus on learning actual tools and practical tricks of the trade, specifically from a marketing point of view.
And this comment right here brings it all full circle. It gets back to that main goal we talked about, empowerment. This person felt confident enough to take over her own company's marketing because everything was broken down into simple strategies she could actually use. That's the whole journey right there, from confusion to clarity. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about for your own journey with AI. If you had just 1 hour, one single hour with an expert, what's the one thing you would ask? What's the biggest roadblock that, if you could just get past it, would unlock everything else for you? Figuring that out? Well, that's step 1.